our crew was in Port Harcourt to cover one event, and we were attacked
by
hoodlums.
Okay.
I mean, you had there was a joke we had about hoodlums, so it just came to my mind now. But you know that I mean, that kind of scenario is what we're trying to avoid, where people who are going about doing their legitimate duties are attacked. How do we avoid that kind of scenario? Because ordinarily, that shouldn't even happen. The security agencies should be able to stand in and nip that in the bud.
Yes. Well, see, for me, the answer to this is simple. The Commissioner of Police says in public now, not, security officers try not to talk too much. Things have come to a head. I am sure the man spoke out because APC instructed the members of the House to hold down all federal executive bills unless the issues in Rivers were resolved. And I want to believe that some of those people who work with the president would have intervened at this point to say this thing must be clearly resolved, and they would have gotten to Abubakar. And obviously, Mbu has had memos maybe sent to him, whatever. And that's the reason why he granted an interview to present his own side of the case, because he must have presented his own side of the case privately. But now it was necessary for reason to prevail. So a man is in my place, a man who is accused must be given the right of
Mr.
response.
Moss, you just mentioned 3 different parties. You talked about the presidential camp, you talked about Wike's camp, you also talked about Amechi's camp.
Yeah.
Now, you know that these 3 people, or these 3 groups, or these 3 camps used to be united.
Yeah.
They used to be one camp.
Yeah.
Now, if one camp is making a lot of noise about, the tactics of the police, exactly about the other 2, isn't it likely that really, especially when the purview of changing commissioners of police is not under the federal, or it's not under his own purview, it's not under the state government's purview, isn't it possible that really, this particular, will I say, onslaught, as they claim, is actually being perpetrated by the 2 other camps?
The thing there is this. The reason, you say they were all in one camp. The reason why there's a problem is that Wike wants to go for governorship and Amechi does not want. That's the reason why there's a problem. And what should the president do? The president should not get involved. It is politics. If Wike can win the election, Wike should go and become governor.
Now, let's not forget that this same governor also presented the name of Mr. Wike
for minister.
For minister.
I agree.
Shouldn't we be asking what went wrong? That he has degenerated to
Let's
this particular
back.
position?
Let's go back to history. Obasanjo made Mimiko a minister. When it was time for election, Mimiko wanted to resign to become governor in Ondo State. Obasanjo did not want. He was sacked. Mimiko was not allowed to go for primaries in PDP. Mimiko had to go take the ticket from Labour Party. And because of his popularity, he won the election. So the same thing is playing out. In Lagos State here, Fashola was not the person to be governor. Tinubu, the governor at the time, had commissioners who wanted to be governor. Very popular people who wanted to be governor. Tinubu stood them down and brought an unknown entity, Fashola. But really, Fashola, it's the hand of God maybe, because Fashola has done very well. Okay? So the same scenario could be playing out in Rivers State.
No, the question is, I mean, all those people that you've mentioned and all the scenarios that you brought have absolutely nothing to do with the police or police involvement in this particular case. When Mr. Mimiko became governor, nobody used the police commissioner to make sure he doesn't carry out his duties.
At least journalists were not attacked.
At least journalists were not privy to that.
Yes. Very true. Very true. That's what I'm saying. That, for me now, what is happening in Rivers State is something that I feel is an embarrassment. Really, I feel it's an embarrassment. And not that I sympathize with Mbu, I don't know him, but I just have this sense of, I don't like it when I feel that sitting governors want to determine the outcome of elections. I just don't like that.
Let's end it with your recommendations, because both of them can play their politics. There's nothing wrong with that, but there are rules of engagement.
Yes.
What would you recommend happen? Because we've seen there was an incident in Kwara between the APC and the PDP. We saw how the police came in there, and lots of people say, look, they just did what they had to do. Nobody could accuse them of any complacency. What would you recommend happens in Rivers State to ensure that both sides say, okay, we can say that the agencies of government or the institutions there are objective to both parties?
Really, it's the IG that, if you ask me, that is supposed to deal with this, because the police is supposed to be impartial. And across the board, in many places, you've seen them being very partial. The police is supposed to be impartial, and as we go towards 2015, sincerely, they are supposed to check every accusation of impartiality against the force anywhere, at DPO level. Take like the last incident at Jubo. Every incident of partiality brought up against the police is supposed to be checked, because they're supposed to be impartial. You see, for there to be peace, for people to respect the law, the police must act in a way to give confidence to the populace that when you have a problem and you go to the police, you will get justice.
All right, interesting comment. Emmanuel Mock is the national chairman of Transformation Party. I keep wanting to call it National Transformation Party.
The name, yeah.
Oh, that's it.
Correct.
Oh, okay, so there you go. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you very much.
All right.